Hello, April here. I'm so excited to be here, and I'm going to talk about breathwork today because for me, it feels like an important conversation. And let me be honest, I have not been doing my regular breathworks the past, I'd say month and a half, and I am seeing the effects of it. And I just did one this morning and I had something pop up as I was doing it. And so I wanted to share my experience. I wanted to share why I even got into breath work and the importance of taking care of our body and not necessarily pushing through because other coaches or facilitators or something tell you just to push harder, you got to get through it. Because that's not always it. So let's start with me. I did not wake up one day and say, I'm going to become a breathwork facilitator. I was looking at a way to feel good in my body. And what breathwork helped me do was create a relationship with my body. All I would ever hear is, oh, wake up in the morning before your kids, meditate, work out. Like, I couldn't meditate. Meditating wasn't for me. I couldn't sit still. The whole quiet your mind, watch your thoughts. Like, it wasn't for me in that moment. I can meditate a bit better now, but I much prefer breath work over meditation. And that is just my personal preference. To each their own. Everyone gets a choice in what feels good to their body when they're creating the relationship with her. And so every time my mind would wander in meditation, I would get frustrated. I was doing it wrong, which we know that's not the case. But then I found breath work. And with breath work, it gave my mind something to focus on. I was able to focus on the inhale and the exhale. I was able to just simply be present in the moment with my body. And I stopped trying to control what was happening in the moment and really started being able to listen. This is what I love to talk about, is being present and being in pleasure and possibilities that can come up for you. And this allowed me to create the space of being present and being in pleasure and possibilities. And I think with breath work, at least from what I see, there's a lot of reels and a lot of talking about like this big healing moment where everyone's like, their body's taking over and there's this big release. And that's not what I see healing to be at all in my own space and with my clients. Healing gets to be very connected. It gets to be very soft. It doesn't have to be this big explosion. And so for me, breathwork was really magical, and a really important step in creating that relationship with my body. And so I want to talk about what regulation actually means, because I think it's quite misunderstood. And what I'm talking about, it doesn't mean that you're necessarily calm all the time. It doesn't mean that you're calm all the time. It doesn't mean that you're happy all the time. It doesn't mean that you never feel anxious or angry or overwhelmed. Like, that's just not what regulation is. We are human. First and foremost, we are human, living in human bodies, having a human experience. And these bodies that we were never taught how to have a relationship with are showing us these emotions and sensations and connections and dysregulations and regulations. And so part of being regulated is being able to come back to your body, being able to stay in your body, even during those really crazy experiences. So for me, what regulation boils down to is the capacity to hold. And if you are not in relationship with your body, if you are strangers, if you're disconnected, being able to have capacity in any way for something that you're not in relationship with, right? It's like asking to have capacity to a stranger. What do you do when a stranger comes up to you? And not in judgment, but in deep honesty of, do you shy away? And if that's the case, where do you shy away in your relationship with your body and being able to hold that capacity with yourself, right? And if you look at the difference from a stranger to your child or your partner or your best friend, how do you hold them and where is your capacity level to hold them? And see how different it is from stranger to partnership, relationship, friendship, because that's really what it comes down to. The deeper connection you have, the easier it is to build your capacity for what you want. It comes down to, like, can I stay with myself when I'm angry? Can I stay with myself when I'm grieving? Can I stay with myself when I'm overwhelmed? Can I stay with myself when I'm excited? Can I stay with myself when I am in pleasure? Can I stay with myself in intimacy? And can I notice what's happening in my body without immediately trying to escape it? To me, that's regulation. And it's staying in relationship with yourself through quote unquote good or bad emotions and sensations and life. I mean, life. So I actually think that what we're building in our body isn't just necessarily calm, but we're building capacity to feel, to heal, capacity to receive, capacity for joy, for love. And at the same time, like, capacity for uncertainty. Like, let's talk about that for a minute, because our brains are wired to go towards what's familiar. And so if our bodies do not have capacity for the unknown, we're just always going to go to what's familiar, even if it's not something you want, even if it's not something you enjoy, even if it's not something that gives you pleasure. Just because it's familiar, you are going to naturally go towards it until we build the capacity to allow ourselves to feel safe, even in the unknown. And so that helps create and build that relationship. I spent a lot of years, most of my life growing up, being very disconnected and hating my body. What I have found is that even positive emotions can feel overwhelming at times. Sometimes receiving love can feel overwhelming at times. Sometimes resting can feel overwhelming. Sometimes joy can feel overwhelming. And so the goal isn't to force yourself there. The goal is to gradually increase what your nervous system and what your body can hold. And one thing I've noticed is that sometimes a lot of healing spaces unintentionally and unfortunately have become about intensity. And that healing is only in the intensity, in the experience that you have to go deeper or to push harder or like stay in it or breathe through it. The assumption that the more intensity equals the more healing. And sometimes that could be true. And sometimes it's not. If someone's nervous system is already overwhelmed, asking them to experience more than they can safely process may not create regulation. It can create more overwhelm. And this is what was coming through me, because I have been feeling very overwhelmed in my body lately, right? Not doing my practices. I said in the beginning, I haven't done it for like a month and a half. And so I could feel the overwhelm. And I'm like, okay, I'm going to release, I'm going to work on that overwhelm today with my breath. And I could feel shortly into it, I'm like, I can either push harder, but if I push harder, I'm going to get more overwhelmed, or I can pull it back. Our bodies have limits, and listening to those limits is not failure. It's information. And this is why I love the idea of titration. Instead of forcing the body, we work with the body. We do a little and we pause. We notice. We let the nervous system integrate. And only if the body feels ready, we continue. Healing isn't about getting everything out today, right now. It's about healing your body and learning that it is safe enough to stay present. Every time your body experiences something challenging without becoming overwhelmed, you start to build trust. And over time, your capacity naturally expands. So I'm going to offer you an invitation, because one of the greatest gifts my body has ever given me wasn't becoming calmer. It was becoming someone who could actually hear myself, someone that could actually listen to their bodies and make a decision. I stopped seeing my body as something I had to control. I stopped treating her like a project. I became curious. I started listening, and that relationship has changed every area of my life. So maybe the question isn't, how do I regulate my nervous system? Maybe the question is, how do I begin listening to my body instead of trying to override her? Because I think that's where the relationship begins. Just like any relationship in our lives. We start by listening to our friends, to our partners, to our children. We listen and we respond. And so if you want to practice breath work, if you want to be held in a different kind of space, I have some one-on-one options. We can do I have 6 favorite ones that my clients have loved. And so they're kind of like on repeat, which I love too. It makes it so fun. And so my invitation is to join me in a breathwork session. Come back to your body. Start building that relationship with her so you can be more present, so you can have more pleasure. And you can open the door to so many possibilities, because your body is the pathway to everything you have ever wanted.